Is it his time? And welcome to Off the Tee. My name is Chris Exusion. You can find me at Chris E. Baum on Twitter and also at the OTT Matchups on Twitter. This is the Heat Ratio Network. You can find on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. I'm on there with everyone else. It's a great time. Sorry for the late time start today, but had to watch the Sixers take care of business. Great bounce back game for him. Shake Milton rising from the heavens over here, if you will, playing a great game, getting his stats up to make sure he stays in that rotation. Without further ado, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is going to be a crazy tournament, this Palmetto Championship. It's going to be – no one's played this course on the PGA, so it's pretty much a new course, and we're going to pretty much dive into it with a pretty soft field for the most part. But before I wanted to get into that, I want to thank, again, Jason Sobel for being on last week. He was a fantastic guest, great insight. I think I talked him into Patrick Cantlay eventually, which did cash 22-1, winner outright. I know Rom had the COVID and everything. We had Adam checking. He said, pretty crazy what happened to Rom. And you know what? It is pretty crazy. But you know what? I mean, sometimes you get good breaks. Sometimes you get bad breaks. I've gotten plenty of bad breaks where I should have came out on top, and, things happen like that. And Cantlay, I knew was going to play well. He played well, and he beat Morikawa in playoffs. I mean, Morikawa is no joke. He's probably my favorite player on tour. He's absolute fire, and he beat him in pretty much overtime, if you will. And that was pretty amazing. So I think it was a well-deserved win. And I wanted to get into the whole Jon Rahm thing here because I was trying to look up what really happened as far as, he got tested during the rain delay, and, they said he was tested positive, and then they tested him again at 6:00. He still remained positive. But I was reading something with Golf Week, and this was a quote straight from Golf Week, and it said, if someone had been fully vaccinated under our protocol and it's defined by the CDC, is 14 days past the full cycle of vaccination, they do not have to test as a result of being a close contact unless they develop symptoms. Guess what? Rahm didn't develop symptoms. These guys know the rules. I'm not saying you have to get a vaccine. I'm not saying, whatever you want to do. If you want to get a vaccine, be my guest. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. It's your life. I don't really care either way. But I know if I'm playing on PGA Tour and I'm playing for $1.75 million and he was pretty much going to walk away with it on Sunday, I have no problem taking that vaccine because he would have walked away with that tournament being up 6 strokes. So unless it would have been a colossal meltdown, I don't think it would have been either way. I got my man Al checking in. What's up, Chris? Hey, Al, thanks for checking in once again, man. Big Sixers win. Awesome stuff. Definitely a good way to bounce back after that game. People had their doubts, but overall, great start for pretty much to go into Atlanta. So I'm excited about that. But let's get into the golf, though. Pretty much what happened last week at the Memorial, as far as winner goes, Cantlay 22-1 outright winner. If you watched last week, I had him and Matsuyama. Matsuyama didn't do as well, but you know what Cantlay did, and he got 22-1. He's just been trending in the right direction after the PGA Championship. He was terrible on the East Coast. Now he moved to the Midwest, a course that he played well at, which he did win before, and then we took advantage of that. He won that tournament, and he's going into the right direction, going out to the West Coast. So That is a great start for him as well. And we are 2-0-1 in matchups. Rom over JT. Those cashed everywhere. Everybody pretty much had, cashed the Rom tickets, even though he got taken out because of COVID. Pretty much most sportsbook gave you the win anyway with any kind of Rom bets you have. So I'm counting that as a win. I got cashed out on the win, so I'm taking it. And Lowry over Kevin Streelman. That was an easy winner. So 2-0-1. Can't complain. Great week. And let's see here. Let's get right into it. Before I get into the actual tournament here, a big shout out to Todd Godot. I hope I'm saying that right. He listened to my pop-up tee episode on Saturday night, took my advice on Rosner and Walker, and cashed out first at FanDuel for a showdown for the fourth round. Cashed out $1K first place. So congrats to him. So it pays to watch the show. So thank you again for giving me the shout out on Twitter. I appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into this course here. Congaree Golf Club. It's the longest PGA Tour event that we have had. 7,655 yards, par 71. The par 4 average here is 457 yards with 11 par 4s. Bermuda grass greens, Tom Fazio design. No rough at this course, just sandy area everywhere for the most part. So you don't have to worry about that high rough that we saw last week Memorial. If you're able to have good sand saves and scrambling, I think that's going to help as well here. Driving distance is going to be number one here. You're going to be behind on the 8 ball if you can't drive the ball far. So I feel like this is going to be really important. The fairways are real wide, so accuracy is not going to be as important as people think for the most part. I think people are going to actually be able to score on this course. There's been kind of conversations I've been hearing on Twitter saying people aren't going to score as well, but I feel like the score is going to be pretty high here, especially going to have some Corn Ferry Tour guys that, are hungry to play in the PGA. And the Corn Ferry Tour is not too much off from the PGA. So these guys can play and they want to get their PGA Tour cards. So I think that's important. So I think they're going to put out a good performance as well. Scrambling is going to be important. Plus 450-yard par 4 scoring, 200-plus yard approach shots, sand saves, gains. These are going to be all important stats for an event that they never had. So we're trying to pretty much solve the puzzle that's happening here that we never have any course experience with. So that's what we're going to look at here. So you're looking at the big guns here for the most part. You got Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, South Carolina native. You have some big guys at this course, but out of the big guys, I feel like Brooks Koepka is going to do the best here. If you want to take a flyer on one of the higher end guys, something that I looked at before when he won at Bethpage Black at the PGA Championship, he played the Honda Classic before then for a tune-up, and he ended up finishing 4th there. And he was in the kind of same form that he was for the most part. So I think this is a good opportunity. I think he's going to actually score real well here, and I think he's going to make some noise at the U.S. Open. I'm definitely going to be looking at him. I'm going to be looking at Rahm. I know Rahm's a favorite, but I think he was just playing so well, and I think he's going to be really determined to play well here at the U.S. Open. So I think those are kind of some things that you're going to have to look at. But as far as Brooks Koepka goes, I think he's going to be a really good play. DFS, he might be kind of chalky, but you know what? I think he's going to pay off well. I think Sungjae Im is a guy that needs to win a tournament. I feel like he's trending in the right direction. He's awesome at scrambling. Pro shots are slightly getting better. He's great off the tee. Doesn't hit it super far, but he's very accurate. So I think that is important. Just in general, just get his good fairway shots, get that approach shot rolling again, get that in the right direction. So I'm going to get right into it. Leader after first round, I typically have a couple guys that I really like. Unfortunately, there's been withdrawals left and right because of the U.S. Open, qualifiers, this and that. Guys are going out of this tournament to get ready for the U.S. Open. Pierre Malnati was one of those guys I liked over 100 to 1. I think he was 125 to 1. I liked him there. He really rated well with this kind of distance on a course with the approach shots, distance, and everything else. I really liked him there. But he pretty much withdrew. So that was kind of a long shot I really liked for the most part. So I'm going to give you one guy here that I really do like. It's Keith Mitchell, 50 to 1. When I look at this course being over 7,400 yards, Bermuda grass greens, just a really long distance course, pretty much no rough. He rated the best out of everybody in the competition in first round play. First in birdies gained, first strokes gained total and off the tee, third on approach, first on strokes gained putting, fourth on strokes gained par fours, eighth on par fours, 450 to 500 yards. You're getting an average of 475 yards per par four, so they're really long par fours. And he's sixth in driving distance. And he still rates really well without first round data. So I feel like that is very important as well. So I'm looking also at, so that's pretty much what I'm looking at for the first round. I think Keith Mitchell is the play at 50 to 1. I think that's a good number to be at. It's hard to hit those 100 to 1s. I got real close a couple of times. I've been hitting 60, 80 to 1s, but I think this 50 to 1 will be real solid for him. And he has played well in first rounds before, so I think that's really good as well. Mitch is checking in here. He's been waiting all week. Thoughts on Ben Martin this week? So I wanted to dive a little bit into that here. I saw that question before I came on for the most part. He's ranked 10th in strokes gained par four as far as this kind of course goes for the most part. Par fours, 450 to 500 yards, he ranks second actually. And par fours over 500 yards, he ranks in 20. He actually ranks 50th. But Ben Martin's been pretty good with the strokes gained par fours. Something else I was looking at as well. Let's see here. Ben Martin. Just in general, with this kind of course play, he is ranked fourth on strokes gained total, third on strokes gained tee to green. He is ranked second around the green, actually. He actually ranks pretty well here for the most part. Sixth in strokes gained ball striking. He's a guy that he could be a good top 20 guy. I don't have his number on the top of my head right now. Let me see where he's at for top 20. I think that'd be a good spot to see him at. Let me see real quick. Top 20. Let's see where Martin's at real quick. Plus 250. I really like that number for him at 250. I think that's where you should really play him, Mitch. So for top 20 for plus 250, I really like him there. As far as the rest of my bets go, let me bring those up here. Top 20, I like four guys in the top 20. Keith Mitchell is one of them, plus 250. It's going to be Keith Mitchell week for me for the most part. I really like him here. Seamus Power at 4 to 1. David Lipsky, 5 to 1. Scott Piercy, 3.5 to 1. These are guys that I'm liking here for top 20, and you're getting great value. I'm looking for kind of longer shots this week for top 20 because the field is so watered down. I think there's good value with guys that have been playing well for the most part. Piercy, just in general, in this field, he's been third in strokes gained total with this kind of course play for the most part. Second strokes gained tee to green. He's eighth in strokes gained ball striking, second in birdies gained. And these stats go along with what kind of course this is. This isn't just the overall grand scheme of things because there's other guys that obviously are better than Scott Piercy. But when you're handicapping PGA golf, you got to look at what the course is. And some guys just play better on some courses. And Scott Piercy kind of fits that bill for the most part. And the other guys I'm looking at here, David Lipsky and Seamus Power, you probably like, who are these guys? Well, these guys that are on the Korn Ferry Tour, these guys have been playing really well. David Lipsky, he's 5 to 1. He's been awesome with his approach game, and he's better than average off the tee. I would have liked him a little bit better off the tee, but you know what? At 5 to 1, I think that's really good value. He's 7th in the Korn Ferry Tour in GIRs gained in his last 24 rounds, and he's 16th in sand saves. So I think those are real good numbers that can keep him inside the top 20. He's had back-to-back seconds this year, so he's been in really good form. I don't care that it was on the Korn Ferry Tour, honestly, because I feel like he's going to play really well. He's been in really good form. I don't think it's that much of a drop-off from the Korn Ferry Tour. I mean, there's some bad guys on the PGA Tour that are just barely hanging on their tour card. You get some really good competition on that lower level there, so I don't feel like it's that much of a difference when it comes to play. Lesser field, you're getting great value, and he's accurate with the driver, and he drives the ball about 300 yards. So that's kind of the stuff I'm looking for. Someone that can drive the ball, keep it in the fairway, a guy that I know that's going to be determined to play well. And I think within the top 25 to 1, that's an outrageous number. I'll be more than happy to take that. And by the way, guys, if you have any more questions about bets or anything like that, hit me up on the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer them as well. Seamus Powers, he's been top 10 this year on the PGA. Just on the PGA Tour in general, he had a top 10 and a top 25 as well. So not only has he played well on the Korn Ferry Tour, but but he's also been good on the PGA Tour. I mean, like not amazing, but if you can get a top 25 and a top 10 on a PGA Tour event, I consider that pretty good. I mean, he's not a top tier guy, so for him to fall in those spots, I feel like it's really good. And in a softer field, I feel like he should be able to make top 20 here. He had a 9th at the AT&T Byron Nelson and a 9th at the MGM at the Corn Ferry Tour. So very good showings. He's excellent around the green, which I think is going to be important because you're going to have to be really well around the green, because if you don't hit these greens, you're going to have to hit out of the sand real well, and I think that's going to be very important over here. So I don't have any top 10s. Top 20s, I really do like there. And Keith Mitchell, of course, I think he's probably the best course fit for this course in general. So I think top 20 is a slam dunk in general. So Keith Mitchell week. I think that's going to be very important to take out of this here. And to win, I got 3 guys I like to win. My main guy I like, shocker, talking about him the whole time, Keith Mitchell, 46.5 to 1. I really like him there, and it's a great number. This is going to be a weird tournament. The field's not that good. You got Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, you got Harris English. You got guys that really, you have a couple good guys there, but do they really want to win this event? I don't think they're really striving to win this event. Terrell Hatton has disappointed before. Fitzpatrick might be pretty tough. Sungjae Im, he's a guy also, like, I was able to get him at 18 to 1. I think that's real solid because he's a guy that really needs this kind of win. For kind of slipping for the most part for this PGA year. I talked about him before COVID, the whole stoppage, he was playing the best golf out of anybody. And then once the COVID stoppage happened, he just kind of fell off. He started playing a little better here and there. But I think in this lesser field, I think he's hungry for this event. I think at 18 to 1, I think that's a solid play. So I think anybody under 20 to 1, I think Sungjae Im is that guy that I would personally take. So he's one of the 3 guys I like to win. Sungjae Im at 18 to 1. I already said Keith Mitchell. He's probably my favorite. He's already at 46.5 to 1. I got him earlier before all the withdrawals were happening. And Alexander Noren, I like him as well at 28 to 1. In his last 24 rounds, he's been 4th in strokes gained total. That's just in general. That's just on the tour. That's pretty outrageous. I was kind of shocked to see that when I was looking at the stats. And he's 12th tee to green. He's 7th around the green, 12th in putting, 2nd in scrambling. He's just been real solid. And you know what? Maybe this is the week he breaks through and he wins here. Why not? This is going to be such a weird week. You got to tread lightly this week because there's a lot of uncertainty with this event. I felt really strong about Cantlay last week. It worked out, which was great. But this one, we're taking some flyers. We're trying to, you want a little action this week. I think these are good plays. Make some small plays on these. I think they're really good here. Matchups. So matchups I've been pretty solid with for the most part. I'm not going to lie. I've been pretty good with my round matchups. I've been good with my tournament matchups have been excellent. So I'm going to give you 3 tournament matchups I really like. If you're looking for a big matchup, Brooks Koepka minus 106 over Dustin Johnson. I think Koepka's just been playing a lot better than him, honestly. So I think Dustin Johnson, he's been cut from events. I believe he was cut from the PGA Championship. He just hasn't been himself, and he's a top-tier guy. So with Brooks Koepka minus 106, trending in the right direction, can play pretty long. I really like him here. Scott Piercy, minus 110 versus Duffner. I already like him for top 20. I don't see Duffner getting into the top 20 for the most part. So I really like Scott Piercy here at minus 110. I think he's a really good course fit here. And you're pretty much getting him at regular juice. I have no problem with that. And I like Alexander Noren. He's a guy I think it's going to win anyway versus Ian Poulter. Noren is laying minus 125. A little more juice, but I'm perfectly fine laying that. Poulter should technically be a good course fit here, but he just doesn't drive the ball far enough. And I think that's the difference between him and Noren at the end of the day. I think Noren will drive the ball better than him here. And I just think he's just been playing better overall. I think Poulter's kind of pesky, but I think Noren is this high with the juice for a reason. So I really like Alexander Noren here as well. So the 3 matchups I really do like: Brooks Koepka minus 106 versus Dustin Johnson, Scott Piercy minus 110 versus Duffner, and we got Alexander Noren minus 125 versus Ian Poulter. But yeah, so these are the plays I really like here. I'm proclaiming it Keith Mitchell week. I think this is definitely the guy you should play. Win play show. I think he's going to win this week. 46.5 to 1. He might be down to 40 to 1 now because of all the withdrawals. I just think he fits the best here. And this is kind of a weird tournament. I don't know if you're going to really have like a big name really win this tournament. I think this is a tune-up one. A lot of guys that weren't even that good that got qualified for US Open said, peace, I'm out of here, no problem. So I think this is a good spot for Mitchell. I think Mitchell could lead after first round, and I think he could really contend at the end of the day. So even if you took Keith Mitchell at a 40 to 45 to 1 or wherever you can get him at your books, you can at least hedge with him on Sunday if he's in contention. Hey, and if we even cash in the first leader after first round, that's 50 to 1. You're already free rolling the rest of the week. So then you got your hedge money right there then. So Keith Mitchell, I really like here. And Sanjay, if you had to take a guy that pretty much you want to take a guy, kind of a more chalkier guy in the betting field, I really like him there. So that's a guy as well. But I actually wanted to get into DFS a little bit because I feel like there's some really good spots with DFS. So let me see what I can set up over here. Oh, 1 second. Let's see what I can get here. I want to see. I'm trying to get this all together over here, see if I can get. All right. Well, I'm trying to get the DraftKings book on here right now. Unfortunately, I can't get that on here right now. So let's see here. Let me double check. 1 second. Let's see. All right. Well, I unfortunately can't get the DraftKings daily sports pretty much the actual lineup and everything. So I'm gonna have to talk to you guys through it for the most part. I think there's going to be some really good spots here. So you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to get into the DraftKings here. I want to see what we can do here as far as guys down the field for the most part. If you guys have any questions, I'm more happy to answer them, DFS or betting. So I'm looking at DraftKings right now. Looking at DraftKings right now, and we got the top of the board: Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Tyrell Hatton. Those are the guys at the 10K range. I would stay away from Tyrell Hatton. I know he's a good course fit, but I don't know. He's just been so shaky, and I think he's going to be pretty chalky play. So I really don't like Tyrell Hatton here. Brooks Koepka is my guy here for the most part. I think he's going to be around the top 10. I don't think he's worth betting top 10, but I think for your lineup, I think he'll be pretty solid. Hope you guys are enjoying your favorite adult beverage while you watch this show. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate it. So those are the guys I'm looking at 10K. I think Brooks Koepka is a good play. I mean, I'm not crazy about Dustin Johnson this week, but I actually don't think Dustin Johnson's going to be really highly owned. So if you're trying to be contrarian, he might be a good guy to take based on being like, for one of those single entries. He might be decent because I think a lot of guys are down on him like myself. So he might actually be decent there for the most part. I'm looking in the 9K range right now. We got Harris English, Sungjae Im, Tommy Fleetwood, Ian Poulter, Kazire, Higo. Those guys there I'm looking at for the most part. Sanjay M's my guy here. I think he's going to play really well here. I think he still has a lot to prove. The scrambling's fantastic. I think he's very accurate off the tee. Being in a lesser of a field, I think he's your guy at 9K. I think Ian Poulter might be a little bit of a disappointment there. Harris English is the South Carolina guy, but you know what? I'm not too crazy about him in general. So he's just been up and down a lot. So, I mean, maybe he will play well in this, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to risk it in my lineup personally. So I'm looking down the 8K range. We got Keith Mitchell, my guy, Kisner, Glovner, Harold Varner III, Sneds, Vegas, Knox, CT Pan, Stallings, Doc Redman. These are the guys we're looking at here. You've been watching the show. You know how big I am on Keith Mitchell, so he's my guy there. I have no problem him being the 8K guy. Absolutely love him. I don't think Kisner's long enough on the tee, so I'm not crazy about him. Lucas Glover, I believe, has played at this course, hasn't done well at this course. He might have been a member. I'm not too sure. That's what I was reading about. Lucas Glover would be a decent little play. Harold Varner III, I think he's going to be extremely chalky. You're going to have to make sure he scores real well. It's just tough. He rates out so well, and it's just like, can he put something together? If he can get into like a top 20, top 15, you're going to be great. But will he do that? I don't feel like he's a risk. Snedeker might be all right there, even though I bash him every week. Jonathan Vegas, everyone's going to see how great he is long off the tee. But you know what? He doesn't really have that good of a game besides that. So I think he's just a boomer bust guy. I'm staying away from him as well. And Stallings might be actually a nice play here. If you want to be kind of contrarian, I think Stallings is pretty solid at 8K. He's a little bit low. I don't think he's going to be highly owned. So I really like Stallings here. So we're going to get down to the 7K. Danny Willett is out. He had pancreatitis. He's just pancreatitis. He's just not doing well. Luke Less, Cabrera, Laird, Naismith, Perez, Sepp Straka, Vance Worley. No, sorry, excuse me. Vincent Whaley. I was thinking of the old pitcher for the Phillies over there. Rory Sabatini, JT Poston, Ben Martin, that Mitch Flatt was talking about. We got Power. We got Van Ruin. I mean, you got a lot of guys here in the 7K. This range is huge here. I'm just going to pretty much I would name off like 100 names right now. So I'm not going to get into that. It's going to bore you. I'm going to tell you which guys I really like in the 7K range. I think Sloan's a good play there. Scott Piercy, I talked about earlier. Patrick Rogers, I think is going to be a good play. Nick Taylor should be solid. Richie Wierenski is a solid golfer. I really like Richie Wierenski as well. He's been playing really well this year for the most part. Pretty solid. You can get him in the top 30, top 25. I think that would be good. Benon's kind of a little too crazy for me. Lipsky's in that 7,400. I really like him there. Bo Hogue, I really like him there, 7,500. Powers at 7,500 as well. I think Ben Martin at 7,600 is actually a decent play. I'm glad Mitch brought him up. I started to look at him more since he asked the question earlier, and I think that's definitely a good play there for the most part. That might be somebody I might consider putting in my lineup there. So, and Luke List, I believe he has the tour. I think he has the course record, but there aren't a lot of PGA pros that played here, so I don't know how much you can take that into consideration. So Luke List at 7,900. Yeah, sure. Why not? If you're looking to fill the salary up a little bit, that's fine. And then we're down to the 6K range. It's getting pretty grim. Patrick Harrington. Yeah, you can take a flyer on him. John Pock, the guy from, the young kid from Florida State. If you feel like he's going to have a really good showing, he's the best college player, in NCAA right now. If you feel like you want to take a flyer on a young guy like him, but he might even be popular in this range because people know about him now. So John Pock and Cole Hammer. Cole Hammer might be a decent play as well. He's a good college player as well. Just looking at some other guys here. Let's see. Will Gordon drives the ball for us, so it's like a cheaper Jonathan Vegas. So I'd rather take a chance with Will Gordon than Jonathan Vegas because you're saving like 2K, and I don't know if Vegas is going to honestly do that well there. Malnati was there, but he pretty much dropped out because he made the tournament. So that's what's going on there. But those are kind of the guys that I'm looking at for the most part. if you're looking to build your DFS lineups. But I wanted to thank you guys again for tuning in to Off the Tee. Kind of a weird week. I wish I had some course history with it to help you guys out more. But, I'm in the dark as much as you. I did my research, but, this is a tough event, so we're treading lightly before the U.S. Open. And speaking of the U.S. Open, next week we're going to have Harry Mays on from the middle. He's pretty much done everything with Philadelphia radio for the most part. He was on my first show, so I'm real excited to have him on for the U.S. Open. We're going to have an early show on Tuesday at 8:30. There's no Sixers game, no nothing. We're going to start off early, 8:30 p.m. We're usually a 9:30 tee off time, but it's going to be 8:30. So next week, Harry Mays will be on. We're going to break down the U.S. Open. I cannot wait. Thank you guys again for listening. I appreciate the questions, appreciate the support. Glad you guys are cashing with my plays, especially on the DFS side, which has been awesome. Thanks again, guys. Let's keep making that money.